Hi guys, welcome back. We're still on power supplies. We've dealt with the Novatech concept. What I'd like to do is look at a few other things which was mentioned in the previous video. One thing I did see is extending power connectors by perhaps taking a Molex connection and then adding in a SATA connection to it. I've done a quick search in Google. I've typed in Molex to SATA power adapter and I come up with different options here, lots of them. This one here looked interesting because at the end had 2, not 1. So what I'll do is I'll click on this website. We'll get there eventually. There we go. And it's RS, which is quite a well-known company for selling things. If I look at this here, we can see this end here is a Molex connection. Right? This piece here would plug into the Molex connection on the power supply. Now you notice, looking at this one here, it looks like it has 4 different pins on it, which is called the male connection. We'll not go into the reason why. And that can plug into a Molex which has 4 sockets, or the female connection. So you plug these 2 Molex cables together, and once you've done that, you've extended your power supply to now supply 2 additional SATA connections. So if you have used up all your SATA connections and have 3 Molex connections you're not using, because they are quite legacy, they're for old devices that tend to use the PATA connection, you now have a reason for using them. You now convert them into SATA power connections. So that gives you an extra 2 on this one, and it's quite a good deal. It's only £1.98. Moving on from there, we'll look at the ATX 24 pin, which I mentioned earlier. On a motherboard, and I'll show some images here. This is part of a motherboard, and you can see here there's a place for plugging something in. In this example here, the place has something plugged in. Where's it got plugged in? Something like that. Now that comes off the power supply and it plugs into the motherboard. And if I go over here, here's another example. This one here is plugged into the motherboard, into this connection here, and that supplies power to the motherboard. Moving on from there, we also looked at the idea of the ATX 4-pin connection. Now again, here's another motherboard example. Here's a place for plugging a power cable in. There's an example of what the power cable looks like, and that's what it looks like plugged in, and that provides additional power to the motherboard, especially the CPU. What you should note is, looking at these images, you can see they're not quite square ends. These 4 connections all joined together are not quite square. They have certain curves or arcs on them, and they only plug in one way. So be careful there when you're doing this. Don't force it in the wrong way. You'll also notice this piece of plastic jutting out. It's like a little clip. It pushes in, clips it shut, and you push this to pull the thing back out again. And again, if you go to the ATX 24 pin, again you'll see another little clip there. Again, if you adjust that as you're taking the cable back out, that way you don't damage the motherboard and it stays securely in place.